Hi everyone, my name is Cassidy Waldrep and I'm a PhD student at the University of Saskatchewan. I currently live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where unfortunately there is still snow on the ground in May. Like I said, I'm a third year PhD student, so I've been in the program for about 2.5, almost 3 years now. My research focuses on the eastern mallards, which are mallards that reside on the Atlantic coast in the eastern United States and Canada. These mallards are unfortunately declining. Since 1998, they've declined over 20% and are continuing to decline. For hunters out there and wildlife managers, this is of particular concern as mallards are an important game bird species on the Atlantic Flyway. Not only that, but when we separate the two breeding populations, a breeding population that's in northern eastern Canada and a breeding population that's in the US, we see different population trajectories. The one in northern Canada is doing quite well. They're increasing, but the one in the US states, other than Maine, which is in the Canadian population, we see a decline. So about 5 years ago, my PI and a few other researchers got together and said, we need to figure out what's going on. Are there different habitats that are producing different outputs for reproductive success, and so on and so forth. So what my team and I do is we attach these backpack-like transmitters to female mallards across the entirety of the Atlantic Flyway. These GPS acceleration transmitters connect to cell phone towers anywhere in the North American continent and actually upload the data in real time. So every 12 hours, I can go on and I get GPS data and acceleration data from these transmitters. GPS data is just what you think it is, it's location data. Acceleration data tells us something different. It actually tells us what the mallard is doing and where it's doing it at. So using that acceleration data, I can find if the mallard is feeding, resting, preening, or flying. So what my research hopes to do is to look at 4 different things. The first one is to categorize time activity budgets of these female mallards in the Atlantic Flyway. So we've put on 1,200 transmitters for these females, and now I'm going to categorize that behavior throughout their full annual cycle and kind of see where are they expending the most energy. I have completed this chapter and we're seeing that they're flying more during migration. They seem to be resting more at the beginning of summer, but we don't see differences in feeding throughout the full annual cycle, which is a really interesting find. My second chapter is going to be looking at what drives reproductive success. I'm going to look at nesting success, full-term incubation success, and brood-rearing success and see what is potentially making this population decline. My third chapter is habitat use. So throughout the breeding season, we're going to look at where are these mallards nesting and what habitat are they using and does that make them successful? And lastly, my fourth chapter will be looking at mallard data as well as black duck data. There's another project at the same time putting about 800 transmitters on black ducks, whereas I have 1,200 on mallards, and I'll be using those 2 data sets to see where are these birds occurring together and is there some sort of interspecific competition going on that's driving the mallards out. So at the end of this dissertation, the hope is to just provide practitioners and biologists with more information on what this population is doing and how we can best manage it.